Yes, hello. Is this Connor?
Yeah, it is.
Hi, Connor. This is Jerry calling you about a property on East Zeiler Street in Tulsa.
Yeah, what's going on, Jerry?
We're trying to close on this, and it looks like you guys have a memo.
Yeah, we had this agreement. I guess she got a higher offer. She said she was giving it to her brother, but I guess that wasn't the case.
Well, because we just contracted with them 30 days ago.
That's what Jasper had said.
You spoke to Jasper on our team
Yeah.
because we're ready to close and buy it, and now this came up.
I'm not trying to hold anything up. They are wanting to sell, and we'd love to buy it or get released from our position and get compensated.
What is it you're looking for?
Well, I told Jasper 15,000 just because that was the difference, and I was like, if you want to use our purchase agreement and you get it at 30, and then you're still paying 45 at the end of it all, then you guys aren't coming out of pocket any more money.
So you're saying you're not going to remove your memo unless you get paid 15,000.
I'm always open to work something out. That's just a suggestion that I use. You don't have to come out of pocket any more money.
Well, we would, because the seller's not agreeing to your price. He's agreeing to our price.
Yeah, and you don't think she would close at the 30?
No.
Yeah.
No, so we wouldn't be closing at the lower price. We'd be we're ready to close right now, so we'd be closing at the higher price.
At the 45. So then you guys would have to come out of pocket more money. So I see.
Yeah.
At that point, then I wouldn't expect you guys to pay 15. If we could get compensated, think of what you think is fair, or we're willing to buy it.
You'd have to buy it at 45.
I was telling Jasper, hey, if she agrees to the 30, I don't care which way it goes, whether we get 15,000 and you buy it at 45, or you get 15,000. She's not going to do the 30.
No, and there's another option, which is we pursue this legally and get the memo removed, which we've done quite often. And in fact, November 1, Oklahoma passed their new regulation, which prohibits memos. Yours was filed before then, but they're still really frowned upon, and they're actually very easy to remove.
Yeah, I'm newer to this, and you're kind of like the godfather of flipping. What typically happens if you don't file a memo, and then they end up going to somebody else after?
Like, this is just my perspective. Other people think differently, maybe. First of all, I don't file memos anymore. You will never win, because the only way you'll win is if you try to hold it hostage, and then the other wholesaler or the other buyer gives in and says, okay, I'll pay you something just because I want to close. But when someone says they don't want to do that and they want to buy it, then if they pursue any type of legal action, you're always going to look really bad, because what it looks like is that you're preventing a seller from selling, and especially if time's gone by. So this has been now months later, the seller, for whatever reason, the seller's going to have their own story as to why they didn't close with you, but you really should let the memo go, especially if they're elderly, which these people are. It's going to look like to everybody else, especially consumer protection agencies, title companies, everybody else, that you're hijacking the seller from selling his house. And whether that's a legitimate reason or not, you just look really bad. You kind of want to avoid that, especially in the high regulation environment right now. There are several states all preventing memos, but a lot of wholesalers over contract. You didn't. You actually contracted right. A lot of wholesalers over contract, they go dark, they file a memo, and then they try to hijack the closing for money. So that's what everybody's always worried about. What I do is, if a seller says, I don't want to sell, I change my mind, is I say, okay, is this a situation where you found a better offer and you're just trying to go with a higher number? If that's the case, then that's not really cool. You should honor the contract we have. I want you to close right now if you're trying to close around me.
99 out of 100 times, that's what it is.
I don't know about that. Sellers definitely change their mind and get cold feet. If that was the case, you should have got this call 30 days later or 15 days later. I don't know what your date is on this, but my understanding is it's been a little while. I thought it was summer.
Yeah, I think it was August.
Yeah, so August, September, October, November, December. We're pushing 5 months. If I pursue this legally to remove your memo, they'll take it down really easy, because they're going to look at it and go, okay, this was a long time ago. You really can't have this memo here forever. We've had really good success just getting them removed when it's this kind of situation.
Real quick, then we'll get back to the video. Now, if you're a nationwide virtual wholesaler, then you need to check out the hottest and most affordable new lead service offered by PropWire.com. It's called Warm Lead Accelerator, or WCL for short. In a nutshell, you get 10 warm leads delivered every day, Monday through Friday, to your inbox. That's about 200 warm leads a month. Now, these are sellers that have recently been cold called by PropWire's overseas call centers and have expressed an interest in a cash offer. These leads are exclusive to you, and here's the best part. These leads only cost $2.49 per lead. You can't find a better price like that anywhere. Now, this offer is for a limited time, so don't wait. Go to warmleadsdaily.com to get signed up and learn more. Now back to the video.
And we are wholesaling it. We have our buyer ready to go. It's not much. It's a pretty small wholesale. So it's not like, I can give you very much and then it'd still even be worth it. Probably the best thing for me to do would be to just try to get it removed. If you won't remove it, is to try to force it to get removed.
Okay. So you wouldn't want to pay anything else?
I don't think so. Cause if I pay you something, by the time I factor in my marketing costs, Jasper's on my team, I just wouldn't make any money.
Yeah. How much did you guys sign it for?
55.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of.
So it's pretty tight because I got a team and cost, and you know what I mean. It's not a home run.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you guys take stuff down yourself too?
Yeah. In fact, I will always take it down if I have to.
Yeah.
Here's kind of the legal rule if this were to go to court is, did you, the buyer, have the ability, the means, and a history of closing? That's what they look at. They look at intent. And when you're just a wholesaler and you file a memo and you say to court, I didn't have the cash, I didn't have the ability, I was just going to sign it, then you are instantly the bad guy.
You might find out that a house that you thought you were about to buy ends up selling to somebody else. And then that's what I was asking earlier, is like, what do you do from there? Like,
you would have to show you were ready and willing and able to close and the seller didn't. And then they're going to also look at the time frames, because if it's fairly close to when you were trying to, and you can show that you were ready and willing, then you can make a strong argument. The seller tried to backdoor me here, and this is not my fault.
Obviously, time has passed.
Yeah, a lot of time's passed. The other thing that makes you look real bad is you're an out-of-state buyer, out-of-state investor.
Right.
So they look at all that. They're like, okay, this guy's out of state. 5 months has gone by. We're going to yank this memo. That's usually the way they're going to look at that.
Yeah. Those laws are good for the people that have put themselves in a position like, where you can buy them and where we can buy them. It's like, okay, now the legitimate buyers probably have a little bit of a leg up.
They will. I'm looking at this as a good thing in Oklahoma, because it is going to weed out the fly-by-nights, the virtual guys that are sitting in Phoenix and stuff. And it's going to start forcing more closings, more buying. Like, we're preparing to buy everything. We are local and go on appointment and build strong relationships. So we usually don't have sellers even thinking about it, because we kind of do everything really well up front. And it's also an opportunity, I think, where you can sit down with a seller and say, I'm not one of those wholesalers. I'm actually the buyer and I perform. It's an opportunity to really stand out above everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're going to resell it or whatever you're going to do, it's just, you're able to now have that conversation with sellers.
Yeah. Whether you end up signing it or not, you're always prepared to buy it.
Always be prepared. Yep. We had recently where the buyer got squirrely at the last minute, the day before closing, and the seller wouldn't extend, close, or we're done. So we stepped in and funded, because it was a good deal.
Right.
You always got to be ready for that.
Well, I appreciate the pointers. So if something did happen where, like, let's say they actually sold and closed.
Here's what it means to me. I have to step up my game to manage my seller expectations, because a seller only backdoors you if they don't have confidence in you, they don't trust you, they don't like you. I've never had a seller backdoor me where they felt confident that I was the solution. Here's what typically happens. You contract it, seller doesn't hear from you for 2 weeks. They get nervous, they get scared. Someone else calls them and they just they don't even really understand the legal side of a contract that well. And they're like, well, that other guy, I haven't heard from him, so I'm just going to sign with this new person. Now, whose fault is that? To me, that's the first wholesaler's fault for not really helping that seller understand next steps. I mean, we have processes where we're talking to that seller almost every day.
We do a weekly check-in.
I would up that. If you're staying in Oklahoma with no memos, you got to step that up and literally be like, hey, just checking in, letting you know title's been ordered. We're still on schedule for the 5th. Yeah. How's it going for you? Great. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Then now they're like, holy cow, these guys are really invested. Even with all of that, maybe sometimes it will still happen. But yeah, I think that'll mitigate.
It'll mitigate it. It'll definitely get rid of the shady wholesalers that file memos strategically. Those guys will go away because now they can't. So they'll go find another state where they can do those games. We dealt with a guy that he overcontracted about 10 contracts a month and filed memos. And when I say overcontracted, like he would sign them at whatever price the seller said, the Zillow number. That's why they ruined it for everybody. Yeah, they ruined it for everyone else. I bet you in the next couple of years, memos will be a relic. They'll be a thing of the past. They will not let you cloud title because of the abuse.
Yeah.
I've stopped doing it even where you can because I don't want to be getting the phone call you're getting right now. I don't want to be getting somebody telling me I'm going to take you to court to remove it. I just don't want to be part of that because it's just not worth it.
Right.
Because you're always going to be the bad guy.
We always just thought, well, if they're going to ghost us, the memo will hit one day, but
that used to be an okay strategy. There's way too much public eye on the wholesaler now.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in a state where they allow memos and a seller says, hey, Connor, I changed my mind. I don't want to sell it now. What I would say to that seller is I'd say, okay, listen, I'm ready and willing and able to close. I've got the capital right now and you're not performing on this contract because you changed your mind. I get it. Things happen. I'm not upset about that, but I need you to understand something. I'm going to file something called a memorandum of affidavit on title. And that's going to cloud title in the amount that we agreed on. Because you're telling me you're going to keep it now. So if that's true, fine. The memo won't do anything because you're not selling.
Mm-hmm.
But if in the next 60 days, you try to sell it to somebody else, my memo is going to pop up and I'm going to be expecting you to honor our agreement that we made. Do you understand that? Do you understand that this is going to prevent you? We have a contract right now, Mr. Seller. You agreed to a price. I'm ready to perform and you're backing out. So they're not surprised now. They're not like, what in the world happened here? I say to them, I'm going to file a memo. This is going to cloud title and you won't be able to sell this to somebody else for more money. Are you okay with that? So in other words, seller, so if you change your mind again and next week you say, well, I changed my mind again, I do want to sell it, I'm expecting you to honor our agreement and sell it to me. And now you've disclosed, everything's always disclosure. All of this is disclosure. Does the seller know what's happening? See, what happens is when they say I changed my mind and then I changed my mind 5 months later, which is what happened with us, now the seller's saying, this Connor guy who lives in Omaha or wherever, he's trying to stop me from selling my house.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's going to be like that shady, dishonest, crooked wholesalers trying to screw a poor, unsuspecting, elderly seller. That's what it looks like. You just won't win. You'll always be the bad guy. Even when you say that, when you say 30, 60, 90 days, once that time frame's gone by, you got to let the memo go because when you get the call now and it's been 5 months, everyone's going to say, well, a lot of time's gone by. It's a totally different situation, totally different market. The argument is a lot of time's gone by and the seller didn't try to backdoor you. He just, life happened and now he wants to sell it and you're preventing him. You know, that's what it looks like after 5 months. But I think 30, 60, maybe 90 days, you still have an argument of like, you were just trying to get a higher price and that's not fair to me.
I'm just trying to figure out there's a way that we can make this a win-win situation. And then hopefully with that, we can do business in the future because we have the means to buy stuff that maybe you don't want to. And then
I'd love to work with you in JV. Our dispo is really, really good. We might be able to find buyers that you can't find because we're on the ground.
Oh, I'm sure you can. Funny enough, the first year I just watched every video you had and I was working with another company and they just weren't getting leads. They weren't doing anything like that. So I just hopped on YouTube and I found Flipping Mastery and I tried to help their business grow. But then I figured out that they just weren't ethical and they actually like screwed us over too. So I was like, well, I love the business model, but I'm going to go start my own.
I guess, Connor, I got to talk to Mark, my partner on the ground. He's 100% confident that we can get it removed. So maybe we can do something like $1,000 or something like that. But I mean, it's not going to be much. At least you're feeling like you're getting something out of this. I don't know.
As long as we're getting something, we can just make it a win-win and it just shows, hey, everybody's trying to work with each other.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
And then in the future, there hasn't been a time where I haven't done business again with people that we've done a win-win situation with on these. As long as we're walking away, even if it's $1,000, I'll make it sweet with my team. They might think that I lost the battle, but as long as we're, it's going to open up a business relationship in the future. I was trying to tell Jasper too, is just like, how can we make this a win-win so that we can do deals in the future?
Yeah.
We just need to see good faith from everybody's trying to work together.
Let's try to do that quickly because we can close right now, Hey, thanks for understanding, Connor, and being open and willing to talk with me about it.
Yeah, of course, and I appreciate the pointers.
Like I said earlier, I believe in my heart of hearts that if you really double down on the seller relationship and expectations and communication,
you just got to fine-tune your transactions process.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Let us know if that works, and we'll go from there. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.